Africans, we should recognize that bad governance is harmful to our generation and those yet to be born. Welcome to Africa on Trial. Gamma Coffee is my name. The first episode of the Africa we want. What is it the Africa you want? What is it the Africa that I want? There might be some differences, but we are looking at the basics. We are looking at the foundation of the Africa we want. Our leaders have demonstrated that they are not working in the interest of their citizens. Our leaders are still holding on to their colonial masters. Many of the individuals who occupy the leadership positions are still holding on to their colonial masters. How do we expect to be economic independent? How do we expect to be sovereign? How do we expect to be free if all our leaders, what they know and what they do is asking for aid, asking for loans, asking for help, handouts from those that colonized us? How do we expect to move into our own direction when we are unable to make our own decisions when it comes to economic freedom? Is this the Africa we want? African leaders are busy selling themselves out to China, selling themselves out to United States of America for help. Are we that desperate to look for other countries to help us out? Are we not capable of standing our ground and do the right thing as Africans? What's wrong with our leaders? What's wrong with Africa? Is this the Africa we want? For some reason, the stupidity, foolishness, selfishness, and the greedy demonstrated by our leaders, how can we possibly wet their hand in saving us? How can we depend on an African Union that only survives on asking for aid, that only survives on asking for loans to take us to the Africa we want? This is so sad. This is the African Union that is telling us that Agenda 2063, it's a blueprint of the Africa we want. How can it be that the African leaders, who up until now they haven't figured out how to sustain their own continent with their own resources, the African leaders who are unable to talk about the resources, from human resources to the natural resources that we have in Africa, to uplift their own people, our leaders are still having the spirit of begging. Is this the Africa we want? What is it that we have achieved from the loans that have been coming to Africa from the day the first to the last country that got its independence? From the day that the OAU was formed to the AU, what is it that the African countries have achieved from the loans that they've been taken? What is it that the Africans have achieved from the money that they get from the International Monetary Fund? Our leaders, with their selfish hearts, their laziness of not thinking constructively, we always talk about that Africa, it's rich, yet Africa is still merging as the third world continent. So shameful, considering the raw materials that we have in Africa, including the human resources, yet we are still here, used as the raw materials for other continents, used as the human resources to do labor for other continents. This is the hand of the leadership that we have. Africa is not poor. Africa is poorly governed. Is this the Africa we want? When will be the right time for us as Africans to change the way we perceive our leadership? When will be the right time of this? We should change the way we govern our continent, Africa. Our leaders now are holding on to China and United States of America as their new colonial masters. What's wrong with our leaders? When will they realize that no one is coming to Africa to help us? All of them, they are coming to Africa to help themselves. They are here looking for raw materials. They are here looking for cheap labor. There are many countries in Africa that are seeing the industrial development that are coming to most of African countries. They're not coming to develop our countries. They are coming because Africans, we are cheap. The labor is cheap in Africa. They are coming and exploit our people. And the leadership in Africa is doing nothing. When will our leaders, when will they consider that the African people comes first? Looking at the problems in Cameroon, looking at the problems in Togo, looking at the problems in Zimbabwe, the problems in Nigeria, South Sudan, in Central African Republic, in Mali, in Mauritania, in Zambia, in Mozambique, and some other African countries. Such situations, the tragedy is that the African Union is helpless, does not know what to do. Africa has been victimized by the systems of government which we do not understand, and proven proven not to work to the best of our interest. Gamma Coffee is my name. Africa on Trial is the program. First episode of the Africa we want. Africans, what is the Africa I want? What is the Africa you want? What is the Africa we want? But first of all, we have to wake those who are still sleeping. The African leaders and their masters are not sleeping. Our sleeping, our disunity, our ignorance is their opportunity. Those who are in leadership position are quite comfortable with the situation as it is. Time has come for us as Africans to demand our leaders that which is in our best of interest. The African Union and its leadership are in lip service and in buying time schemes such as the Agenda 2063, when they know that all they are doing apart from planning is begging and asking for aid. The African Union and its leadership are not true crusaders of the African agenda. The concerns on the ground is the leadership we have in Africa. We're talking about the leaders that have stayed longer in power. They are the ones who are making the African Union. The leaders who knew that they've lost the elections yet find a way to put themselves in power, using the police and the military to torture the people in their countries, to silence those who were against the whole voting system in their country, to put them to silence so that they can get back to power. And these are the same leaders that have come together as the African Union. And these are the same leaders that are talking about Agenda 2063. Are we safe with the same leaders that we know we have fought against in our individual countries as the leaders that we did not vote for? And because they had to silence us using the police and the military, now they have joined hands with the other dictators. They are together in one unity as the African Union. And these are the same leaders that are planning our future. Are we comfortable? They've already demonstrated the selfishness, the greediness in their countries, and now they have joined forces to tell us the direction we want to go. That's why instead of talking about 10 years from now, they are talking about 50 years from now, because they know that with the years that they've already been in power, they won't be there by that time. They know that the system that they are creating is not for the benefit of the African people. They know that the systems that they are putting as the Agenda 2063, yes, some of you might say the Agenda 2063, it's a good platform for us as Africans, but there are more things that we need to look into. The same leaders that are torturing people, they are the same leaders that have come to join hands. If we are unable to take one leader out of power due to the long stay in office, now they have teamed up. How strong can they be? How weak can we become? Our leaders, first of all, they need to practice good governance. Now, we should not see good governance in Africa after 50 years. We've come a long way. We've obtained independence. Now it's 50 to 60 years of seeing bad governance in Africa. Now we have to wait for another 50 years to make it 100 years in Africa without justice, without freedom, without seeing the progress of its people. So we're talking about 100 years that the Africans need to suffer again in the hands of the wrong leaders. We were in the hands of slave masters, colonial masters. Now our leaders, they want now to take turns in raping Africa, and yet we are standing silent and looking at all this happening in our lifetime. Is this the Africa you want? Is this the Africa we want? The tragic thing is that the African Union is helpless and useless until we can come to a point of accepting that the African leaders have failed us, until we can come to a point of realizing that the African Union is helpless and useless. Then we can find a new solution to our problems. African problems, African solutions. How can we change the bad governance that is happening in Africa? We've seen good leaders in Africa, but who right now they have started staying long in power. It does not mean that whether you have done good in 10 years, then you have to continue, because you're not the only smartest person. You're not the only leader in your country. These are the small things that we always neglect, but by the end of the day, these are the things that are growing and escalating to be the major issues in Africa, because the leaders, the more they are staying in power, they will start getting comfortable and refuse to step down. Most of these leaders we are talking about now, the ones that are now unfit to govern us, the ones that are unfit to lead us, they started on so well. We were so happy with what they were doing, but they stayed long in power. These are the same words that Kwame Nkrumah said at the Organization of African Unity when he reminded his fellow African heads of state to say, we should unite now or you get comfortable in your small more countries and forget the whole reason why we are fighting. Eventually, it happened that those who started getting comfortable, enjoying the benefits of being the leaders in their countries, refused to come together to have one Africa. And now our leaders, the ones we have now, they are so comfortable. They are good leaders, like I'm saying, in Africa. But we should consider the terms, the end line of each and every individual who is leading a country in Africa. Because these leaders, yes, they might be doing good, but why can they step out and give others a chance? And why can they take a post of being the advisors of the new presidents? The same reason why we've seen that most of African leaders, the ones who are in power right now, they have projects that they are doing. And once they step out, the one that comes in, instead of continuing the project, the ones that the other leaders could not continue doing because of the tenure of his office did came to an end, they are starting new projects, abandoning the old projects that the other leader was doing. This is bad governance. They are not serving the interest of the people, because the reality is they've seen that the project that the other leader was doing won't give them much money to steal, won't give them much money to take home with, because the project was almost done. What they were supposed to do was just to manage and make sure that the project is finished. But they know that if they'll continue with the project that someone started, these are the leaders that are not interested with the national development, the leaders that are only interested with their own pocket projects. These are the same leaders. That's why they are so lazy to think. That's why they are so lazy to come up with innovative ways, innovative means to create jobs in Africa. These are the reason why these leaders are unable to come together as the AU to think of ways and means of creating new jobs in Africa for the Africans. All they are doing is going out in different countries, asking for loans, asking for aid for us as Africans. And yet we say that Africa is the richest continent in the world. Looking at a continent that is so rich, its leaders that are going out and about asking for money, asking for aid to aid the countries that we saying that they are rich. How can that be possible? Is this the Africa we want? Africans, we have to wake those who are still sleeping. Our sleeping is the opportunity for our leaders and their masters. Our ignorance is the opportunity for those who are exploiting us. It's time for us as Africans to realize that the potential of Africa rise in us as Africans. It's time for us as Africans, we demand from our leaders that which is in our best of interest. When will the African leaders stop begging? When will the African leaders stop asking and seeking for loans? When will the African continent stop asking money from the International Monetary Fund and all those agencies that we know that they don't wish Africa well? Can Africa work on its own? I believe so. Can we come together as Africans? Yes, it's possible. Is this the Africa we want? Africa on Trial is the program. Gamma Coffee is my name. The Africa we want. What is it, the Africa you want? Is this the Africa we want? The African Union is not a brother or sister's keeper. The African Union is disappointing. From the likes of Kwame Nkrumah to John Pombe Magufuli, the OAU and the AU has failed to be its brothers and sisters keeper. John Pombe Magufuli said, an economic war is very bad. He said, the imperialists are not going to be happy about this. There are so many African leaders. You know what happened to them. John Pombe Magufuli said this the time he warned most of the mining companies in Tanzania about them skipping their taxes, when he said that he will close the mining companies and give them to the Tanzanian citizens because they were skipping paying taxes. Most of our leaders knows and they are benefiting from the skipping of the taxes. But John Pombe Magufuli said, enough of this. If you were doing it before me, this is the time it has to stop. And he knew that as economic war is, and it is very bad. And he said, look how many African leaders have suffered from the hands of those they fight against to liberate their people from the economic slavery. They've taken a lot of African leaders. The African Union, it's a disappointment. It is a union that is not united. Our young generation think that this does not matter, and yet the high unemployment rate in Africa is of those of our young people. If you look at the history of revolution movements across the world, it was young people who were spearheading the revolutions. Our African young men and women today are imprisoned by hip-hop and cheap entertainment. How can a continent be so bewitched that its young people does not have a sense of their history, a sense of their past, have a sense of their present, does not have a sense of their future? No wonder the Chinese are conquering us by day. A society whose young men and women are in constant state of sleeping will never realize its potential. Our young men and women must wake up. This is the time for us to send a clear message to our leaders, those in position of power, that the time is up and out. The African leaders and the African Union, collectively and independently, they have lost the war to corruption. Impunity is live and well in Africa. African heads of state are protecting corruption because they are corrupted too. This is the reason why the African leaders are willing to protect those who are found guilty in corruption, are willing to protect those who are being suspected as being corrupted. Our leaders in Africa are not willing to fight the corruption system. Is this the Africa we want? And we the Africans, we are in business of celebrating thieves in the name of leaders. We must stop this because they feel protected by our actions, and yet we are the ones who suffers. African leaders and African Union, why has corruption not been considered as crime against humanity in Africa? Yet we know corruption has left many African countries in great pain, and corruption has killed many people than civil wars combined in Africa, and still yet our leaders are doing almost nothing to stop or to. Why is it so? Is this the Africa we want? Gamma Coffee is my name. Africa on Trial is the program. Thank you for watching the first episode of the Africa we want. See you next time. Bye bye. Love you.
Have you heard about the Africa we want? Agenda 2063.
Yes, it aspires for a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development.
An integrated continent, politically united based on the ideals of Pan-Africanism. An Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. A peaceful and a secure Africa.
An Africa with a strong cultural identity, values, and ethics.
An Africa where development is people-driven, relying particularly on the potential of women and youth. Africa as a strong and influential global player and partner.
The Africa we want.
If you believe and I believe, Africa can be changed. If you believe and I believe, Africa can be saved. Hope and we have faith, Africa can be changed. If you believe and I believe, Africa can be saved. Driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. 2063, our vision, the Africa we want.
sun will rise from the east and set to the west on a beautiful African day. The beauty in the river as the water flows, and I can't do nothing but swim. It's amazing how nature falls in sync. I see the reason why he said it was good. Amazing creation. As the mother and daughter fetch water from the stream, they sing beautiful songs of peace and some ululation. The men gather under shades of beautiful trees, and peaceful reasoning is all I see. Africa, oh Africa, my motherland. Africa, oh Africa, this is where I come from. Africa, oh Africa, my motherland. Africa, oh Africa, this is where I come from. Oh Africa, I call you home. Oh Africa, I love you more. Oh Africa, nachijikwa tuno. Oh Africa, those are creation is shown. I'm looking at the beautiful skies and the green on the hills. I love Africa. I'm looking at the beautiful skies and the green on the hills. I love Africa. Oh Africa, I call you home. Oh Africa, I love you more. Oh Africa, nachijikwa tuno. Oh Africa, God's power in creation is shown. I'm looking at the beautiful skies and the green on the hills. I love Africa. I'm looking at the beautiful skies and the green on the hills. I love Africa. Africa, oh Africa, my motherland. Africa, oh Africa, this is where